Hey guys. Today we begin with a truth that can either build you or break you. If you can train your mind to stay clear under pressure, you can win in any situation. That's not a motivational slogan. It's a survival rule for life. Pressure isn't going anywhere. Distractions aren't going anywhere. Setbacks aren't going anywhere. But your ability to remain steady, that's the switch that separates those who rise from those who collapse. You've spent too much time looking outward for solutions, searching for routines, scrolling through advice, chasing tools and tricks, when the whole time the foundation was right here, inside your own head. This audiobook isn't here to entertain you. It's here to wake you up. I'm not going to sing lullabies of comfort. I'm going to challenge you, confront you, and push you. You say you want strength? Then it begins now, in the smallest and most overlooked battleground, the very first hour after you wake. Your morning is the launch pad of your identity. Think of it like setting coordinates on a rocket. If you're even a few degrees off in the first minute, you'll miss the destination by miles once the day unfolds. Most people don't realize how fragile their mornings are. They open their eyes, and before their feet even touch the floor, they've already surrendered their mind. They scroll, they absorb noise, they replay problems, they let their thoughts drift into chaos. And the tragedy is, they think it's harmless. But you know better now. The first hour is not neutral. It's a multiplier. If you feed it weakness, that weakness spreads into every corner of the day. If you feed it strength, that strength becomes your armor. That's why winning your first hour is not optional. It's a declaration. You wake up and you choose clarity. You choose strength. You choose intention. No one else is going to do it for you. The world doesn't care if you roll out of bed defeated. It's your responsibility to step into that first moment like it's sacred, because it is. So how do you do it? First, you strip away the illusion of control that comes from reacting. No phone, no notifications, no bombardment from the outside world. Those things are designed to hijack your focus before you've even built it. You can't let strangers on a screen set the emotional tone of your life. When you wake, your mind is soft clay. It takes the shape of the first hands that touch it. If those hands belong to algorithms, gossip, or negativity, you've already lost. Instead, speak to yourself. Ground yourself. Call it affirmation. Call it declaration. I call it owning your first thoughts. Tell yourself the truth, not hype. Today, I choose clarity. Today, I will not give energy to weakness. Today, I will move with purpose. Notice, these aren't empty lines. They're instructions. You're programming your operating system before it runs. And don't just mumble them. Say them with conviction. Your brain listens to the tone of your voice more than the content of your words. If you sound defeated, your brain believes defeat. If you sound sharp, it believes sharpness. Most advice out there tells you not to check your phone. Fine, that's good advice. But here's what they didn't say. It's not enough to avoid the wrong input. You must also insert the right one. This is where the 60% of our added firepower comes in. You need a ritual that tells your nervous system, your emotions, and your identity that you're in command. For some, it's cold water on the face, reminding you that life doesn't wait until you're comfortable. For others, it's physical movement, push-ups, stretching, breathing, to shock the body into alertness. For others still, it's writing down 3 actions you refuse to leave unfinished. The method doesn't matter as much as the message. You are awake and you are leading. Think about soldiers before battle. They don't stroll casually into the field. They have rituals, gear checks, chants, drills, because they know how fragile the mind is under chaos. Your life might not look like combat, but the principle is the same. If you don't armor your mind in the morning, the day will attack and find you exposed. Now, let's confront the excuses. You'll say, "But I'm not a morning person." That's weakness talking. Being a night owl isn't biology, it's conditioning. You've trained yourself into sluggish mornings, and you can train yourself out. Discipline doesn't care about personality types. Discipline cares about decisions. Another excuse. "I'll start tomorrow." That's the voice of delay, the very thing that ruins momentum. Tomorrow isn't magical. Tomorrow is just another excuse wrapped in polite language. You start today. You start with the breath you're taking right now. There's also the lie of comfort. I need a slow morning to ease into my day. No. What you need is intensity. Not chaos, not panic, intensity. A strong launch doesn't drain you. It gives you energy. Think of athletes. They don't warm up with half-hearted motions. They prime the system to perform. That's how you need to treat your mornings. Prime them for clarity, not drift. Here's a drill. Tomorrow morning, before you do anything, sit on the edge of your bed and breathe deep for 60 seconds. While breathing, visualize the version of you that refuses to drift. See yourself walking through the day, steady and unshakable. Then stand up with force. Don't drag yourself. Stand up as if someone just called your name for battle. Right there, you've shifted from passive to active. Add a phrase out loud. "This is my day. I run it." That combination of breath, visualization, physical command, and verbal declaration rewires the morning. Do it enough times, and your brain will expect it. And once the brain expects strength, weakness has no room. Another common gap in most advice is environment. They'll tell you to think positive, but they don't address the battlefield of your room. Look around your morning space. Is it cluttered? Is it suffocating? If you wake up to mess, you feed your brain confusion. Strong environments breed strong minds. Clean up, create order. When your eyes open, the first thing you see should tell you, "I am ready." Even something simple, an inspiring note, a neat desk, a glass of water prepared, can signal order and purpose. And here's the deeper truth. Your first hour is not just about habits. It's about identity training. Every morning, you're proving something to yourself. Either you prove that you drift, or you prove that you lead, and your subconscious keeps the receipts. If you keep hitting snooze, keep scrolling, keep starting in chaos, your subconscious labels you weak. And then, when pressure hits later in the day, you crumble. Because you already told yourself this morning that you're the kind of person who avoids strength. But if you wake with clarity, move with intention, and speak with power, your subconscious says, "This person follows through." That identity carries you when motivation dies. Think about this. The strongest people aren't the ones with perfect conditions. They're the ones who decide their state no matter the conditions. Your morning is practice for that. If you can train yourself to win before the world even touches you, you'll know how to win when the world presses down hardest. So tomorrow, no snooze, no phone, no wandering thoughts. You wake, you breathe, you speak, you move, you set your tone. That's your foundation. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for inspiration. This is the decision that starts it all. Now, feel the shift in your chest, right here, right now. You've been drifting mornings for years, maybe decades. But now you see the truth. It wasn't harmless. It was sabotage. And the good news is, you can flip the switch instantly. You don't need to buy anything. You don't need to wait for a course. You don't need approval. You need discipline. That's it. And it starts the moment your eyes open. Picture this clearly. Your alarm rings. Instead of groaning, you sit up like someone lit a fire in you. You place your feet firmly on the ground, and you breathe. You say your truth. You move your body. You write your intention. You clean your space. And you step into the day with a mind that's already ahead. Most people will still be scrolling, still be doubting, still be snoozing. Not you. You've already claimed victory. And once you taste that kind of clarity, you'll never want to go back. That is how you've claimed your first hour. You've stood up with clarity instead of chaos. But the battle isn't over, because the world has 1,000 ways to claw back control of your mind. And if you're not ruthless about what you allow in, your focus will shatter. That's the truth. Most people don't lose their day because they lack time. They lose it because they never protected their focus. They let notifications, trivial conversations, pointless scrolling, and random thoughts scatter their attention until nothing meaningful gets done. Then they go to bed frustrated, wondering why they feel drained, even though they were busy all day. Focus is the rarest currency in this world. Everyone talks about working hard, but hard work without focus is like sprinting in circles. Fast motion, zero progress. You can't build a life you're proud of if your mind is split in 20 directions. You either direct your attention like a laser, or you hand it away piece by piece until there's nothing left for what actually matters. Here's the standard advice. Turn off distractions. Shut down your notifications. Put the phone away. Good, but not enough. Because the real danger isn't just in your phone. It's in your habits, your environment, and your excuses. It's in the way you've trained yourself to respond to every beep, every buzz, every curiosity. You've taught your brain to live on scraps of attention instead of depth. And that has to end now. So let's sharpen this blade. Focus isn't a mood, it's a decision. And like any decision, it has to be defended. You defend it the same way a soldier defends a perimeter, by creating barriers, setting rules, and refusing to let invaders through. You don't negotiate with distractions, you eliminate them. Every time you check quickly or multitask for a minute, you are handing away the very power that could change your life. Start with your environment. If your workspace is cluttered, your mind will be cluttered. If your phone is buzzing, your thoughts will buzz. If you leave doors open for interruptions, interruptions will walk right through. You wouldn't leave your front door unlocked in a dangerous neighborhood. Why leave your mental door wide open to anything that wants to barge in? Take control. Put the phone in another room. Clean the desk. Shut the door. Make it clear to yourself and to others. This is your focus time. But here's where we push past what you usually hear. Turning things off isn't enough. You need to train your brain to prefer focus over distraction. Right now, your dopamine system is addicted to novelty. Every ping, every scroll, every update gives you a little hit. That addiction means even if you silence your phone, your mind will itch for stimulation. So you need replacement habits, new rituals that reward focus. Try this. Set a timer for 30 minutes and choose one task, only one. As you work, your mind will scream for distraction. That's withdrawal. Sit in it. Let it burn. Don't feed it. At the end of the 30 minutes, give yourself a deliberate reward. Stretch, a sip of coffee, A deep breath. That's how you retrain your brain, not by starving it completely, but by feeding it rewards tied to focus, not to randomness, over time. Your system learns. Clarity feels better than chaos. Another drill. Build sacred blocks. These are hours in your day where nothing gets in. Period. Not family, not friends, not messages. It's not rude. It's respect. Respect for your future. Respect for the work that matters. If someone complains, remember this. The ones who drain you today won't be the ones living with your regrets tomorrow. Protecting your focus isn't selfish. It's survival. Now let's go deeper into what most guidance misses. Focus isn't just about shutting things out. It's about choosing what deserves your attention. Most people confuse being busy with being effective. They answer emails, shuffle papers, check notifications, and tell themselves they're working hard. But deep down, they know the truth. They're avoiding the real difficult work that would move them forward. Distraction isn't always external. It's often self-inflicted. You distract yourself because the real task scares you, challenges you, or exposes you. But if you want to train your mind to win, you stop running from the meaningful work. You face it head-on, with full attention. Here's a harsh reality. Every time you chase small distractions, you are practicing weakness. You're building the habit of breaking focus, and habits compound. Soon, your brain doesn't even try to hold concentration. It assumes you'll bail. But when you protect focus, when you push through the itch to wander, you build trust with yourself. You prove that you can sit with discomfort, and that proof becomes your edge. Picture this. You sit down to work on a project that matters. 10 minutes in, the urge hits. You want to check a message, open a tab, look at something else. In that moment, you have a choice. You can give in, prove to your brain again that you can't be trusted, or you can resist, breathe, and continue. The second option is uncomfortable at first, but each time you choose it, your mental strength grows. That's how focus is built, not through hacks or apps, but through repeated decisions to resist weakness. Let's also confront one of the biggest lies: multitasking. People wear it like a badge of honor, but it's poison. Every time you switch tasks, your brain pays a tax. It takes time and energy to reorient, and the more you switch, the more scattered you feel. Studies show this, but you don't need studies. You've lived it. You finish a day of multitasking, exhausted but empty, busy but unproductive. You want results? Kill multitasking. Single task with intensity. Another common blind spot in typical advice: mental clutter. Even if you silence your phone and tidy your desk, your thoughts can still scatter you. Regrets about yesterday, worries about tomorrow, endless loops of what if. You need a filter. Here's how. Before you begin focused work, take 5 minutes and write down every thought buzzing in your head. Dump it onto paper. Then look at it and ask, does this deserve me right now? 90% won't. Cross them out. Circle the few that matter. Then give yourself permission to let the rest go. This simple exercise clears mental clutter and primes your focus. Now let's get brutally honest. You've wasted hours, maybe years, on distractions that gave you nothing back. You know it. Scrolling, gossip, overthinking, reacting. How much of your life has slipped through your fingers because you couldn't protect your focus? That realization should sting. Let it sting. Because pain can either crush you or push you. Use it. Decide that every moment of focus you protect from now on is payback. Payback for all the time you gave away to nothing. Here's the vision. Imagine a day where you work in deep, undisturbed blocks. No buzzing, no wandering, just clear action. Imagine finishing the day not drained, but filled, because you actually moved the needle on what matters. That's not fantasy. That's what happens when you treat focus as sacred. And remember, protecting your focus isn't about perfection. You'll slip. You'll get distracted. The test isn't whether you never break. It's how fast you return. Catch yourself. Reset. Keep training. Over time, your recovery gets quicker. Your attention grows stronger. And eventually, focus feels natural. So protect it like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. Your future, your goals, your self-respect, they're all shaped by what you give your attention to. Guard it, sharpen it, and refuse to hand it away to anything that doesn't deserve it. Comfort is seductive. It whispers that you've done enough, that you've earned a break, that growth can wait. But here's the truth. Comfort is the quiet killer of potential. Every time you choose ease over effort, you send a signal to your mind that says, I can't handle pressure. And that signal compounds until it becomes who you are, someone who flinches when life gets heavy. If you want to build toughness, if you want to train your mind to win in every situation, you must make discomfort your daily training ground. Most advice out there will tell you to embrace challenges, to do hard things now and then. That's fine, but it's not enough. Growth doesn't come from dipping your toe in discomfort once in a while. It comes from choosing it deliberately, consistently, until it becomes a habit. You don't build strength by waiting for life to push you. You build it by pushing yourself before life even has the chance. Think about steel. It isn't forged in lukewarm water. It's shaped in fire, hammered until it bends into something stronger. Your mind is the same. Without the fire of discomfort, it stays soft, untested, fragile. With the fire, it becomes resilient, unshakable, able to withstand pressure without breaking. The problem is, most people avoid the fire. They choose the soft path, the warm bed instead of the cold floor, the easy conversation instead of the honest one, the safe routine instead of the demanding one. They think they're protecting themselves, but they're only weakening the muscle they'll one day depend on when real pressure comes. And when it does, they'll fold because they never trained for it. So, how do you train yourself? Start with small, deliberate choices. Take the cold shower, not because it's glamorous or trendy, but because it conditions you to act despite resistance. Your body screams no, but you step in anyway. That decision rewires your brain. You learn that fear doesn't decide. You do. Or push through the last painful reps in a workout. Not for vanity, but to prove to yourself that you can keep moving when your muscles beg you to quit. Each time you override the signal to stop, you carve new grooves in your identity. I don't break when it gets hard. Another practice. Face the uncomfortable conversation you've been avoiding. Tell the truth where a lie would be easier. Speak up where silence feels safe. Social pressure is one of the heaviest weights most people never lift. But once you train that muscle, you realize the fear of confrontation is worse than the confrontation itself. Discomfort shrinks when you walk into it, but it grows when you keep running away. Here's a reality check. The people you admire, the ones who seem unshakable, they weren't born with special toughness. They built it in private moments when nobody was watching. They chose discomfort when others chose ease. They got up early. They trained when tired. They pushed through rejection. They kept showing up. And now their strength looks natural. But it's not. It's practiced. You can do the same if you stop treating comfort as your goal. Most guidance out there misses this point. Toughness isn't only about heroic moments of suffering. It's about repetition. It's about facing small discomforts daily until they feel normal. You don't need to run ultramarathons or climb mountains to toughen your mind. You need to do the small, hard things consistently. Get out of bed when you don't want to. Finish the boring task when you'd rather quit. Keep your word when nobody would notice if you didn't. That's the training ground. That's where toughness grows. And let's be clear, discomfort isn't punishment. It's a gift. It shows you who you really are. When you choose discomfort, your excuses rise to the surface. Your doubts, your fears, your laziness, they all show up. But that's good, because now you can face them. You can prove to yourself that you're bigger than them. Comfort hides your weaknesses. Discomfort exposes them, and then gives you the chance to crush them. Here's an exercise. Every day, do one thing that makes you uneasy. Just one. It could be making a tough phone call, tackling a project you've been procrastinating, or pushing your body past its usual limits. Write it down the night before. Then, when the time comes, don't negotiate, don't debate, just execute. At first, it will feel forced, but over time, it becomes automatic. Your brain learns, when I feel resistance, I lean in. That's how you flip the script from weakness to strength. And don't fall for the myth of motivation. You will not feel like doing these things. Discomfort never feels inviting. That's why it's powerful. Each time you do it without the feeling, you're proving that emotions don't run your life. You do. That's the essence of toughness, the ability to act regardless of how you feel. Now think about the cost of avoiding discomfort. Every time you back away, you shrink a little. You reinforce the story that you can't handle hard things. That story spreads like a virus through your identity. It shows up when challenges arise at work, in relationships, in your goals. Suddenly, you're the person who always needs the easy path, and that identity keeps you small. But imagine the opposite. Imagine you become the person who runs toward the hard thing, who takes on challenges without hesitation, who sees discomfort and smiles because it means growth. That identity changes everything. You stop fearing pressure because you know you're trained for it. You stop doubting yourself because you've proven your own strength. That's the freedom discomfort gives you. Not just toughness, but confidence. There's another layer most advice misses. Choosing discomfort also rewires how you see failure. When you live in comfort, failure feels like death. But when you practice discomfort, failure becomes normal. It's just another form of resistance. You stop taking it personally. You stop avoiding it. You see it as part of the training. That shift alone separates the ones who grow from the ones who stay stuck. Let's talk about boredom. 2. Boredom is another form of discomfort that destroys people. You sit down to work, and when the task isn't exciting, you drift. But champions push through boredom. They know that discipline means doing what matters, even when it's not thrilling. If you only act when you feel stimulated, you'll stay weak. But if you act through boredom, you build the capacity to stay locked in. That's toughness. Practical drill. Pick one mundane task, cleaning, organizing, writing emails, and commit to doing it with absolute focus and intensity. No breaks, no distractions, until it's done. You'll want to stop. You'll feel restless. That's discomfort. push through. When you finish, notice the satisfaction that comes not from excitement, but from completion. That's the muscle of discipline growing. Now let's deal with fear. Fear is discomfort amplified. Most people avoid what they fear, thinking it keeps them safe. But fear avoided is fear strengthened. The only way to shrink fear is to walk into it. Afraid of speaking in public? Volunteer to speak. Afraid of rejection? Start conversations and risk hearing no. Afraid of failure? Take action where success isn't guaranteed. Each time you do, the fear loses power. Eventually, what once paralyzed you becomes routine. That's how you build a fearless identity, not by waiting for courage, but by acting in fear and realizing you didn't break. There's a phrase worth remembering. Easy choices, hard life. Hard choices, easy life. If you always pick comfort, your life becomes harder in the long run. Regret, weakness, stagnation. But if you train yourself to pick the hard path daily, life becomes easier because you're strong enough to handle it. Let's pause and get real. You've avoided discomfort before. You've hit snooze, skipped the gym, stayed silent, procrastinated, chosen comfort. And you know what it gave you? Nothing. Maybe temporary relief, but no growth. On the other hand, think back to the times you leaned into discomfort, the workout you finished, the conversation you braved, the challenge you accepted. Those moments gave you pride, progress, confidence. Which one built you? Which one felt like victory? You already know the answer. So from now on, treat discomfort like your ally. Each time it shows up, don't run. Recognize it, smile at it, lean into it. That's your training. That's your edge. Do it daily, deliberately, until your identity is unshakable. Because once discomfort becomes normal, nothing can stop you. Your words are not decorations. They are weapons, promises, contracts. Every sentence you speak is either sharpening your mind or dulling it. Most people treat words lightly. They say things they don't mean. They commit to actions they never take. They promise changes they never follow through on. And every time they do, their words lose weight. Worse, their self-respect erodes. Because when your words don't matter, you stop trusting yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, how can you ever stand unshakable in the world? Standard advice will tell you to be honest or communicate better. Sure, that matters. But the deeper truth, the part most guidance skips, is that words are identity markers. They shape how you see yourself. They tell your brain what to expect. If you say one thing and do another, your subconscious is always watching. It records the gap. It notices the betrayal. And that betrayal becomes weakness. You might fool other people, but you cannot fool yourself. So let's cut to it. You must say what you mean and mean what you say. No filler, no sugarcoating, no empty promises. When your words line up with your actions, something powerful happens. You build internal trust, and that trust becomes confidence, clarity, and calm. You stop over-explaining because you don't need to. Your life speaks for itself. Think about how often people casually throw out phrases like, "I'll be there," "I'll start tomorrow," "I'll change soon." They sound harmless, but they're not. Every time you don't follow through, you train your mind to expect failure. You normalize quitting before you even begin. That's why so many feel stuck. It's not lack of opportunity. It's lack of integrity. They've lied to themselves so many times that their own voice has no authority anymore. Here's a test. Think of the last 5 commitments you made to yourself. Did you follow through? Did you finish the workout you said you'd do? Did you start the project you said mattered? Did you cut the habit you swore you'd quit? If the answer is no more often than yes, your words are hollow. That hollowness bleeds into every area of your life, but you can rebuild. It starts small. Only say what you mean. If you commit, complete it. If you don't intend to, don't say it. Stop using words as decoration and start using them as contracts. This doesn't mean you never slip. It means when you do, you own it. You don't hide. You don't make excuses. You admit it. You fix it. And you move. That alone rebuilds trust faster than any fancy speech. Here's the part most motivational talk misses. When your words and actions align, your energy skyrockets. Why? Because you're no longer carrying the mental weight of lies, excuses, and broken promises. You're not juggling stories or pretending. You're free. That freedom creates power. It sharpens your thinking, clears your conscience, and focuses your drive. You stop wasting energy pretending and start using that energy building. Think about people you respect. Why do you respect them? Probably not because of their talk. You respect them because when they speak, their words match their actions. They say little, but they follow through. They don't need to shout. They don't need to convince. They just do. That's strength. That's what gives a person presence, the quiet confidence that comes from integrity. And you can have that presence if you stop watering down your words. Don't say yes when you mean no. Don't promise when you're unsure. Don't commit out of guilt or to look good. Say less, but mean more. This simplicity eliminates confusion in your life. People know where you stand. More importantly, you know where you stand. Here's a drill. For the next week, monitor your language. Every time you're about to say, "I will," stop and ask, "Do I truly intend to?" If yes, lock it in, then follow through no matter what. If no, rephrase or stay silent. It's better to say nothing than to promise and break. Over time, this habit recalibrates your speech. Your words regain weight. People notice, and so does your subconscious. Now let's go deeper. Words aren't just external. They're internal. The promises you make to yourself in silence matter most. You say, "I'll get up early," but you don't. You say, "I'll eat clean," but you cheat. You say, "I'll stay focused," but you drift. Every one of those broken internal contracts weakens your core, and the damage is invisible until the day pressure hits and you collapse. Because deep down, you've taught yourself that your own voice is unreliable. But when you reverse that, when you say, "I'll rise at 6," and you actually rise, suddenly your mind begins to listen to you. It begins to believe. Each small victory adds proof. This person keeps their word, and that proof compounds into unstoppable confidence. Another drill. Pick one small but difficult promise to yourself every morning. Something simple. I will not hit snooze. I will drink water before coffee. I will complete this one task today. Then treat it as sacred. Complete it no matter how you feel. That completion is more powerful than a dozen half-kept promises, because now your subconscious sees evidence. My words equal my actions. That is how you rebuild integrity from the ground up. Don't underestimate this. You think it's about habits, but it's deeper. It's about identity. When your words mean something, you stop doubting yourself. You don't need outside approval because you've already proven your reliability to yourself. That inner alignment creates a quiet confidence that no setback can steal. And here's the hard truth. If your words don't carry weight, neither will your life. People may like you, but they won't trust you. They may hear you, but they won't follow you. Influence isn't about charisma. It's about consistency. And consistency is built when your words and actions move as one. Picture the version of you whose words are iron. You say it once. People know it's real. You commit, and you deliver. You promise yourself, and you complete it. That person doesn't need motivation every morning. They already believe their own voice. They don't waste time doubting or overthinking. They act. That's the version you're building. So start today. Audit your words. Speak less. Follow through more. Make every promise sacred. And when you slip, own it. That's how you sharpen your voice into a weapon, not noise. That's how you turn words from fluff into power. And that power will not only change how others see you, it will change how you see yourself. Because once your words carry weight, your life will too. Starting is easy. Almost anyone can start. You know this. How many times have you begun with excitement, only to fade when the grind sets in? The gym membership, the side project, the new routine, the promise to change. It begins with fire, but the fire doesn't last. And when it fades, most people quit. That's the difference between those who move forward and those who stay stuck. Winners finish. Not sometimes. Not when it's convenient. Always. Most advice out there will tell you to stay motivated, to find your why, to keep your vision strong. That sounds nice, but it leaves a hole. Motivation dies. Your why can get cloudy. Your vision can feel far away. What carries you then? Discipline, standards, a rule you don't break. If I start, I finish. That rule rewires your brain, reshapes your identity, and builds the kind of toughness that no setback can erase. Let's get blunt. Every time you quit halfway, you practice weakness. You reinforce the habit of bailing when it gets tough. And the brain remembers. Next time, the urge to quit comes faster, stronger, because you've already taught yourself that's who you are. Someone who starts loud, but finishes silent. But when you finish, even when it's ugly, even when you're tired, even when nobody's watching, you build proof. Proof that you can rely on yourself. Proof that you don't break. Here's what most people don't realize. Finishing isn't about the result. It's about the reputation you build with yourself. A workout you finish badly is still better than one you skip. A project you complete late is still stronger than one you abandon. Each finish carves the identity. I am the kind of person who follows through. That identity is priceless. It outlives motivation. It carries you when energy dies. Think of athletes. Training doesn't always feel exciting. Some days they're sore, bored, drained. But the best don't quit when it's dull. They finish the set, finish the drill, finish the game. That consistency builds an edge so sharp that when pressure hits, they don't crumble. They've already trained themselves to complete no matter what. You need the same mindset in your life. Here's a drill. Pick one unfinished task that's been haunting you. A book half read, a drawer half cleaned, a project half done. Today, finish it. Not tomorrow. Today. Don't worry about perfect. Just complete it. When you do, notice how your energy shifts. That completion gives you momentum. It tells your brain, we don't leave things hanging anymore. Stack enough of these completions, and your mind transforms. Another layer. Finishing what you start eliminates the weight of guilt. You know that heaviness in your chest when you keep pushing things off? That nagging voice reminding you of what you left undone. That's mental clutter, draining you even when you're not working. But when you finish, you free yourself. You walk lighter. You focus better, because nothing is whispering at you from the background. And don't misunderstand, finishing isn't about rushing. It's not about speed. It's about commitment. Even if you crawl to the end, crawling is still finishing. Even if it's messy. Messy completion beats clean abandonment. Perfection is the excuse of quitters. Winners prefer completion over perfection, because they know progress compounds only when you keep moving. Most guidance overlooks another truth. Finishing builds resilience against boredom. The middle of any pursuit is where dreams die. At first, everything feels exciting. At the end, you can taste victory. But the middle? The middle is long, slow, thankless. That's where most people bail. But if you can train yourself to endure the middle, to grind through when it feels endless, you separate yourself from almost everyone. That skill, middle endurance, is where champions are made. Here's another practice. When you feel the urge to quit, don't ask, "Do I feel like continuing?" Ask, "Who do I want to be?" That shift pulls you out of emotion and back into identity. You don't keep going because it's fun. You keep going because you're building the kind of person who doesn't stop. That identity becomes your armor in every area of life. Think back to times you quit, the diet you abandoned, the promise you broke, the course you didn't finish. How did it feel? At first, maybe like relief, but later, regret, frustration, self-doubt. Now think of the times you finished, the tough workout, the hard project, the late-night study session. Even if the outcome wasn't perfect, how did it feel? Pride, strength, proof. That contrast should tell you everything. Finishing also builds respect. People notice, not because you brag, but because they see results. They see consistency. They see someone who doesn't just talk. They deliver. And respect, both from others and from yourself, is currency you can't buy. You earn it only through action. Let's address a lie. I'll come back to it later. Later rarely comes. The longer you delay, the weaker the connection to the task becomes. Days turn to weeks, weeks to months, and soon it's dead. You want to break that cycle? Adopt a no-return policy. If you start it, you either finish it now, or you don't start at all. That standard alone will clean up your life. You'll stop casually committing to things you don't mean, and you'll follow through on the things you do. One more drill. Deliberately practice finishing small things. If you start washing dishes, finish them all. If you begin writing a page, finish it. If you commit to a run, finish the last step. These may seem trivial, but they rewire your brain to close loops instead of leaving them open. And once that habit is built, it scales to the big things: careers, relationships, goals. There's also power in finishing when nobody's watching. Public accountability can motivate, but private completion builds character. When no one would know if you stopped, and you still finish, that's integrity. That's when you know you've trained your mind to follow through, not for applause, but for principle. So here's the rule. Finish everything you start, no matter how small, no matter how long, no matter how inconvenient. It's not about the task. It's about who you're becoming. Someone unshakable, someone reliable, someone whose actions always match their intentions. Because in the end, greatness doesn't belong to those who start the most. It belongs to those who finish the most. It's easy to think strong when everything is smooth, when the bills are paid, the weather is nice, and life feels light. Discipline looks simple, but life doesn't stay light. Storms hit, plans collapse, people fail you, your body breaks down, and when it does, your mindset will either be your shield or your undoing. Pressure doesn't create weakness, it exposes it. If your mental foundation is fragile, stress will snap it. But if you've trained your mind under fire, nothing can shake you. Most advice out there will tell you to stay positive when things go wrong. That's shallow. Positive thinking alone won't carry you through real pressure. When life hits you hard, you don't need fake optimism. You need stability. You need a mind that doesn't panic, doesn't spiral, doesn't collapse into excuses. A calm mind under fire is stronger than any lucky break, because it keeps moving when others freeze. Think about soldiers in battle. The loudest, most panicked person isn't the leader. The leader is the one who stays calm under gunfire, who sees clearly when others are blinded by fear. That calm isn't natural, it's trained. The same applies to you. You don't magically stay clear in chaos. You train for it in small daily moments, so that when the big tests arrive, you're ready. So how do you train mindset under fire? Start by controlling your first reaction. Most people react automatically: anger, fear, despair. That reaction drags them down. But you can build a pause. When something hits, bad news, failure, rejection, breathe. Literally stop and breathe. Inhale, exhale. That pause buys you clarity. In that space, you decide your response instead of letting emotion dictate it. Here's a drill. Every time something frustrating happens, traffic, delays, mistakes, practice the pause. Don't lash out. Don't spiral. Breathe. Then ask, what's the next best move? Not the perfect move, not the emotional move, the next best one. This tiny shift transforms chaos into control. Another layer. Prepare your mind before the fire comes. If you wait until disaster strikes to train, it's too late. You must rehearse stress. That's why physical training matters. Push your body hard and stay calm while exhausted. That builds the habit of clarity under strain. When your heart is racing and your muscles are screaming, practice slowing your breath, focusing your thoughts, finishing the set. That's mindset under fire in miniature. Here's something most guidance overlooks. Mental fire doesn't just come from big crises. It comes daily, in subtle forms. A rude comment, a sudden setback, a temptation to quit. Every one of those moments is practice. Every one is a chance to train calm instead of chaos. If you waste those reps, don't be surprised when the bigger storms overwhelm you. Let's get honest. How many times have you let one small setback ruin your entire day? One rejection, one mistake, one piece of bad news, and suddenly, your whole mindset crumbled. That's weakness. That's training in reverse. You've taught yourself to let external events dictate your state. But strength means flipping that equation. The outside doesn't control you. You control you. Practical method. Write down a rule. No event changes my state without my permission. Repeat it daily until it sticks. Because when pressure rises, your instinct will be to spiral. That rule becomes your anchor. You remind yourself, I decide how to respond. Not the event, not the world. Me. That mental ownership separates winners from victims. Another key. Detach from emotion without denying it. Pressure brings fear, anger, sadness. You don't need to pretend those feelings don't exist. You need to see them, name them, and still choose action. Example: you fail at something important. Weakness says, I'm worthless, I give up. Strength says, I feel disappointed, but I'm still moving. That's mindset under fire. Not absence of emotion, but control over action. And here's the hard edge. Training your mind under fire means refusing self-pity. Most people love to collapse into, why me? It feels comforting, but it kills growth. Every second you spend in self-pity is a second you could spend building solutions. Refuse to be the victim of your story. You're not helpless. You may not control the storm, but you always control your posture in it. Imagine yourself in a burning building. Panic leads to death. Calm leads to survival. The same is true for pressure in life. If you panic when things get hot, you lose clarity. But if you breathe, stay still inside, and move step by step, you find the exit. That's how you train your mind to be the still point in chaos. Most advice forgets to mention your environment matters. If you surround yourself with people who panic, complain, or collapse under stress, their energy infects you. Choose to be around those who stay composed. Watch them. Learn from them. Borrow their calm until you build your own. Let's add another drill. Visualization. Sit quietly and imagine a pressure scenario. Public speaking, losing money, facing rejection. Picture the fear rising. Then picture yourself staying calm, breathing, handling it. Your brain doesn't know the difference between rehearsal and reality. Do this often enough, and when the real fire comes, you'll recognize it, not as panic, but as practice. Now let's hit a deeper truth. Mindset under fire is about identity. You don't just act calm. You become the kind of person who sees chaos and thinks, good, this is my arena. Pressure becomes your training ground, not your excuse. That shift changes everything, because life will always throw fire at you. The question isn't, will it burn? The question is, will it forge? Think back. Every great moment of growth in your life probably came from pressure, from being stretched, tested, pushed. You didn't like it then, but you respect it now. Why? Because it forged you. The same will be true for today's fires, if you choose to stand in them instead of fleeing. So remember this. Mindset under fire isn't a skill you use once in a while. It's a way of living. It's a standard. It's a refusal to collapse when things go wrong. And when you train it daily, you become unshakable. Because storms don't stop the person who has already decided. No matter what, chaos is the natural state of the world. Systems break, people panic, situations spin out of control. Most minds match that chaos. They scatter, they react, they lose composure. But your job is different. Your training is to hold steady when everything else wobbles, to think clearly when noise is deafening, to stay calm in the middle of storms that make others lose their heads. Because the one who can stay calm in chaos always wins. Always. Standard advice will tell you to keep calm or take a breath. Sure, that's part of it. But the real training goes deeper. Calm in chaos is not a trick. It's an identity you build through daily exposure to pressure until your nervous system learns a new baseline. Stability. You don't fake calm, you embody it. And once you embody it, chaos doesn't scare you anymore. Here's the truth. Most people are addicted to chaos. They feed off drama. They let other people's panic infect them. They keep themselves overstimulated with noise, notifications, endless scrolling. So when real chaos hits, they're already fragile. Their nervous system is stretched thin, before the storm even arrives. No wonder they crumble. You will not be like that. You will train calm the same way you train strength, deliberately, daily. Start with the body, because calm begins physical. When your body is frantic, your mind follows. But when your body slows, your mind can clear. That means breath control. Chaos speeds your breath. You counter by slowing it. 4-count inhale, hold, 6-count exhale. Repeat until your body quiets. This isn't a wellness hack. It's battlefield gear. Soldiers, athletes, first responders all use it. Why? Because it works. Calm the body, command the mind. Another practice. Simplify your environment. If your daily life is cluttered and chaotic, you're training your brain to live in noise. Clean your space. Control your schedule. Eliminate pointless inputs. This isn't about neatness. It's about clarity. Chaos outside breeds chaos inside. But when you strip away the unnecessary, your mind learns to focus even when storms rise. Now let's talk about emotional chaos. Anger, fear, panic. They're contagious. If you've ever been in a group where one person freaks out, you've felt how fast it spreads. The same is true in your life. If you react emotionally every time something goes wrong, you multiply chaos. But if you hold steady, you neutralize it. That's leadership, not speeches, not authority, but calm presence under pressure. People trust the one who isn't shaken. Drill. Next time someone around you panics, don't match their energy. Lower yours. Slow your tone. Slow your gestures. Slow your breath. You'll notice something. It pulls them toward your calm instead of you getting pulled into their chaos. That's influence. That's control. Most guidance out there misses another layer. Calm in chaos doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean doing nothing. It means holding clarity while still moving forward. Weak calm freezes. Strong calm acts. When things get messy, you don't retreat into silence. You take measured action, one step at a time, without rushing, without flinching. That's what separates composure from paralysis. Picture this. 2 people face the same problem. One flails, shouts, blames, scrambles. The other breathes, assesses, moves decisively. Who wins? Not the panicked one. Chaos rewards the calm thinker. That's who you must be. Another drill. Controlled exposure to stress. Put yourself in small, chaotic environments, crowded spaces, noisy places, stressful scenarios, and practice staying composed. Don't avoid the pressure. Train in it. For example, work on a task with distractions around you, but stay locked in, or practice a speech with interruptions. At first, it rattles you. Over time, your system adapts. Chaos becomes background noise instead of a threat. And here's something deeper. Chaos is an opportunity. While others lose their heads, you gain ground. While they panic, you act. While they spiral, you stay centered. That's how empires are built. Businesses are won. Battles are decided. Calm in chaos is leverage. It makes you the rare one who can move when others stall. Think of historic moments. Crises always reveal the same pattern: the frantic majority and the steady few. The steady few steer the outcome, not because they're smarter, but because they're calmer. Their clarity lets them see openings the panicked can't. You don't need history to prove it. You've seen it in your own life. The exam you failed because you panicked. The argument you lost because you lost control. The opportunity you missed because you froze. You don't want to repeat that pattern. So make this your standard. In every storm, I am the anchor. When life speeds up, I slow down. When others scatter, I focus. When chaos rises, I breathe and move. Repeat this until it becomes who you are, and don't wait for disaster to practice. Train it now. Start in traffic. Start when the internet fails. Start when plans fall apart. These are small fires. Treat them like reps. Smile when they come. Because each time you practice calm, you strengthen the muscle. Then when the big fire comes, you're not surprised. You're prepared. Most people think resilience is about brute force. But real resilience is calm under chaos. Brute force burns out. Calm endures. Calm sees. Calm decides. Calm wins. Imagine walking into your next challenge with that identity. Everyone else tense, frantic, reactive. You, steady, composed, controlled. You see the angles. You make the moves. You walk out unshaken. That's who you're building. That's the mind you're training. Chaos isn't going away. But once you master calm inside it, chaos loses its power over you. And from that point on, you're dangerous. In the best way. Because nothing rattles you. Habits decide your future. Not big goals. Not rare bursts of motivation. Habits. What you repeat daily shapes who you are becoming. The danger is most people don't choose their habits. They inherit them, drift into them, or let comfort dictate them. And then they wonder why life feels stuck. If you want to train your mind to win in every situation, you must take command of your habits. Because habits are proof of who you are when nobody's watching. Most advice will tell you to build good habits and break bad ones. Sounds simple, but most guidance misses the core. You can't destroy an old habit without replacing it. The brain doesn't like empty space. If you cut one pattern, another takes its place, sometimes worse. That's why quitting an old routine without a replacement fails almost every time. You don't erase habits, you upgrade them. You don't just stop doing something, you choose something better in its place. So let's get real. Your old habits will resurface. Stress hits, and the old escape mechanism shows up. Scrolling, eating, avoiding. Fatigue sets in, and the old shortcut tempts you. Skip the workout, skip the work, skip the promise. If you think willpower alone will save you, you're wrong. Willpower is fragile. Systems are strong. You need a plan for when the old habit knocks. Not, don't do it, but do this instead. Here's an example. Say your old habit is reaching for your phone the second you wake up. That habit isn't random. It's serving something. Stimulation, distraction, comfort. If you just say, "Don't check my phone," you'll fail, because your brain still craves that hit. But if you replace it, water by the bed, journal on the nightstand, a stretching routine, you redirect the craving into something that still gives energy, but without the cost. Replacement, not resistance. Another example. Maybe your habit is collapsing into TV or endless scrolling after work. It's not about laziness. It's about decompression. You need a release, fine, but replace it with a walk, a workout, or a book. Same release, stronger payoff. Over time, the replacement wires deeper until it becomes automatic. Drill. Identify your top 3 destructive habits. Not 10, not 20, just 3. Write them down. Then for each, design a replacement. Make it specific. Not vague like, be healthier, but exact. When I crave junk food, I'll drink water and eat fruit first. Then practice, fail, adjust, repeat. Over weeks, the replacements grow roots. Soon, you don't fight the old habit anymore. It's simply crowded out by the stronger one. Here's another truth. Most advice ignores. Habits are environment-driven. You think you fail because of weak willpower. But really, your environment is stacked against you. If your phone is in reach, you'll grab it. If junk food is in the house, you'll eat it. If distractions surround you, you'll drift. Stop pretending you're stronger than your environment. You're not. Nobody is. Winners don't fight the environment. They shape it. So audit your environment. What's in sight, in reach, in routine? Remove friction for the habits you want. Add friction for the ones you don't. Example: put your workout clothes where you'll see them first thing, or delete apps that drain your time, or move junk food out of your house completely. Don't rely on 10 p.m. willpower. You'll lose. Rely on systems that make the good habit easy and the bad one hard. Now let's talk about identity. Habits aren't just actions, they're signals. Each time you perform one, you're telling yourself, "This is who I am." Eat clean, you reinforce, "I am disciplined." Skip workouts, you reinforce, "I am inconsistent." These identities stack, day after day, until they define you. That's why it's not about perfection. It's about the majority of votes. Who are you voting to become with your habits? Another drill. Write, "I am the kind of person who," and finish the sentence for the habits you want. For example, "I am the kind of person who doesn't miss workouts." "I am the kind of person who reads daily." "I am the kind of person who finishes what I start." Then, act accordingly. Every habit becomes a vote for or against that identity. Enough votes, and your mind locks it in. Let's be clear. Bad habits don't vanish overnight. You'll stumble. You'll slip. But slips don't define you. Repetition does. The key is to shrink the gap between slip and reset. Most people fall once and turn it into a spiral. You miss one workout, so you miss a week. You eat one bad meal, so you binge for days. That's weakness. Strength means catching yourself fast. One slip, immediate reset. That skill alone will keep you moving forward when others quit. Here's what most people never practice: celebrating small wins. Every time you complete a new habit, notice it. Don't need confetti, just recognition. I did what I said. That micro pride fuels momentum. Without it, habits feel like grind, with no payoff. But when you stack small wins daily, you create a rhythm of progress. That rhythm compounds into major change. Think back to your strongest seasons of life. Were they built on giant breakthroughs or steady habits? Likely the latter. You woke up earlier, ate cleaner, trained consistently, stayed focused. Those habits built momentum, and momentum carried you. You can recreate that anytime if you rebuild the habits. And here's a deeper layer. Old habits don't just die. They wait. They hide in corners, waiting for weakness, stress, fatigue, loneliness. These moments are breeding grounds for relapse. That's why you need awareness. Know your triggers. Notice when you're vulnerable. Build replacements that are ready before the trigger hits. Don't fight habits in the heat of the moment. Set traps for them in advance. One more drill. Habit stacking. Attach a new habit to an existing one. After brushing teeth, stretch. After pouring coffee, journal. After finishing work, read for 10 minutes. Linking new actions to old routines locks them in faster. Over time, your day becomes a chain of deliberate actions instead of random impulses. Here's the identity shift. You're no longer someone who tries new habits. You're someone who builds systems. You design your day like a warrior designs armor. Every piece deliberate, every gap covered. That's how you stop being ruled by comfort and start being ruled by discipline. So, from now on, stop asking, "How do I quit this bad habit?" and start asking, what better habit will I replace it with? That one shift will transform you, because the person with better habits doesn't need luck. They're already winning daily. Integrity is what you do when no one is watching. It's easy to act disciplined when eyes are on you, when the reward is immediate, when the spotlight pressures you into good behavior. But the real test comes in the shadows, when nobody is around to applaud you, when there is no audience, when shortcuts tempt you and no one would ever know. That's where character is forged. Because the truth is this: the person you are in private will eventually show in public. You can't hide weak foundations forever. Most advice out there will tell you to be honest or have integrity, but that's surface level. The deeper reality is that private discipline builds public power. What you practice unseen echoes in the moments that matter most. If you cut corners when no one's around, you're wiring yourself for weakness. But if you do the right thing consistently, even in silence, you harden your mind into someone unshakable. Think of athletes again. The crowd cheers on game day, but greatness isn't built under lights. It's built in lonely gyms, early mornings, unseen repetitions when no one is clapping. That's where habits are carved. The same applies to your life. The work you do when nobody checks, the studying, the reading, the training, the self-control, those private deposits pay public dividends. Here's a blunt truth. You always get exposed. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. If you fake discipline, it cracks under pressure. If you pretend to train, it shows in performance. If you lie to yourself in private, it leaks in public. Weakness loves secrecy, but strength doesn't need hiding. Sooner or later, your unseen choices surface. Drill. Notice your hidden habits. What do you do when nobody can see? Do you scroll when you said you'd work? Do you skip reps when you train alone? Do you say one thing publicly and live another privately? Audit it without excuses. That audit is uncomfortable because it reveals hypocrisy. But that discomfort is where growth begins. Here's where most motivational talk falls short. They tell you to work hard, but they rarely demand invisible consistency. Yet that's where winners separate. Anyone can grind when the spotlight is bright. Few grind when it's dark. That's why results are rare. So commit to this. Live the same in private as you claim in public. If you say you're disciplined, prove it when no one checks. If you say you're relentless, prove it on days without applause. Make your identity consistent across all arenas. When public and private align, you become untouchable. Another layer. Unseen discipline removes fear of exposure. Many live anxious lives because they know they're hiding weakness. They bluff, hoping no one notices. But deep down, they're scared of being found out. When you live with integrity, you remove that fear. You have nothing to hide, nothing to fake, nothing to cover. That freedom is power. And let's be honest, temptation is strongest in the shadows. The easy way out, the little lie, the shortcut. That's where weak minds collapse. But that's also where strong minds sharpen. Every time you choose right unseen, you stack proof. I am unbreakable, even without recognition. That's how you harden into someone reliable. Here's a practice. Create private standards higher than your public ones. Train harder alone than you do with a partner. Study more deeply when nobody asks you to. Push yourself in silence further than the world ever demands. That way, public tests feel lighter than your private preparation. That's how you dominate under pressure, because you've already done worse when no one was there. Consider this. If your phone history, your habits, your diet, your work ethic were projected on a screen tomorrow, would you be proud or ashamed? That question is harsh, but clarifying. If the answer stings, good. It's showing you the gap between the person you claim and the person you are. Close that gap. Live in a way that nothing about you needs hiding. Most advice misses one more truth. Integrity builds self-respect. You don't just fool others when you cheat. You fool yourself. Your subconscious sees the lie, remembers it, and lowers your confidence. But when you live aligned, when your actions match your words in every room, your subconscious believes you. That belief fuels confidence no speech can give. Another drill. Set one private, non-negotiable rule. Something nobody else will ever know about, but you commit to it daily. Maybe it's finishing every workout rep. Maybe it's reading 10 pages. Maybe it's not lying in small things. Whatever it is, guard it like treasure. Over time, that hidden consistency becomes your spine. Think of the warrior sharpening his sword alone, the writer drafting pages no one reads yet, the musician practicing scales before the crowd ever arrives. That invisible discipline is why their public mastery looks effortless. They didn't rise suddenly. They built quietly, relentlessly. And don't confuse recognition with reward. Doing the right thing in private may never get applause. That's fine. You're not building for applause. You're building for identity, for strength, for the kind of inner certainty that outlasts trends, crowds, and opinions. Because here's the truth. If you only live disciplined when people are watching, you're performing, not training. And performers break when the stage empties. But true warriors, true winners, they live the standard unseen. That's why when the spotlight does come, they don't flinch. They've already lived it 1,000 times in silence. So ask yourself, who are you when the doors are closed, when the lights are off, when no one is tracking? That's the version of you that matters most. Build that version with ruthless consistency, because the shadow work always becomes the spotlight result. Do right when unseen. That's how you become unshakable, unstoppable, undeniable. Everyone wants secrets. Everyone wants shortcuts, hacks, some advanced system that makes success easier. That's why bookshelves are filled with new methods, and why motivational talk often sells novelty. But the truth, the hard, boring truth, is this. Mastery isn't built on hacks. It's built on repetition of the basics, over and over, long after excitement fades. Winners don't chase new tricks. They drill fundamentals until they can't get them wrong. Most advice out there glamorizes innovation. Find the newest strategy, the latest method, the cutting-edge technique. Sure, innovation has its place, but what sustains you under pressure isn't novelty, it's fundamentals. Think of athletes again. Champions don't rise because they know fancy moves. They dominate because they can execute the basics flawlessly, even under fatigue, even under pressure, even when the stakes are highest. You need the same mentality. The basics never change. Wake early, move your body, control your inputs, finish what you start, guard your focus. Simple, right? But how many people do them consistently? Almost none. Because basics are boring. Basics don't feed the ego. Basics don't get applause. That's why most people skip them. And that's why most people stay average. You cannot. Here's the mindset shift. Stop treating basics as optional warm-ups. Treat them as sacred, non-negotiable. They are the foundation of everything else. Without them, everything you build collapses. Drill. Write down your 5 core basics, not trendy ideas, not vague goals, fundamentals. Maybe it's exercise, journaling, eating clean, focused work, daily reading. Commit to them every single day. No exceptions. No, I'll skip today. Repetition is what ingrains them into your identity. And here's something most people never understand. Repetition doesn't just build skill, it builds identity. Every rep of discipline tells your mind, this is who I am. When you brush your teeth, you don't debate it, you just do it, because it's part of you. That's what your basics must become. Automatic, non-negotiable, as natural as breathing. Let's get blunt. Chasing novelty is a form of weakness. It's a way of avoiding the grind. You tell yourself, I just need a new system. When really, you need to stick with the old one long enough to master it. The new shiny tactic isn't the answer. You are. Your consistency is. Think of martial artists. They practice the same punches, kicks, stances thousands of times. Not because they're slow learners, but because they know mastery is repetition. The same applies to your mental training. Basics practice daily sharpen your mind until resilience becomes second nature. Another drill. Pick one basic and commit to 30 straight days without fail. No negotiation, no excuses. Track it, execute it, ingrain it. Watch how your mind shifts. The power isn't in one rep, it's in streaks. Streaks harden discipline because breaking them feels worse than the effort itself. Here's what most guidance misses. The basics are harder than advanced tactics because they demand consistency without novelty. Anyone can get hyped for a big event. Few can wake up early every day, rain or shine, without applause. That's why basics separate the strong from the weak. Another truth, mastery is boring. It's not fireworks. It's not adrenaline. It's quiet, steady, repetitive grind. And if you can fall in love with that boredom, you'll beat everyone who needs excitement to keep going. Practical example. Take fitness. People chase complicated programs, exotic diets, supplements. But the ones who transform their bodies don't rely on gimmicks. They show up, lift, run, eat clean, repeat for years. The basics never fail, only people do. Apply it to your career. Many chase shortcuts, networking tricks, productivity hacks. But real progress comes from showing up, delivering value, doing the work repeatedly until you outlast everyone else. Basics again. Apply it to relationships. People think grand gestures matter most, but what sustains love is small, daily basics: attention, respect, honesty, effort, fundamentals. Every domain tells the same story. Repeat the basics, repeat them better, repeat them longer than anyone else. That's the edge. Another drill. Eliminate advanced distractions until you've nailed fundamentals. Don't read 10 new productivity books until you've mastered waking early and focusing. Don't chase new workouts until you've mastered consistent training. Don't buy new tools until you've mastered the old ones. Simplify until the basics are locked in. Then, and only then, consider adding layers. Think of your mind like a fortress. Basics are the bricks. If you skip them, you build a castle on sand. Pressure comes, and it falls. But if you lay each brick, daily habits, small disciplines, over time, you create walls no storm can knock down. Most people underestimate compounding. They think basics don't matter because results seem small at first. But stack them over months and years, and the growth is exponential. 10 push-ups today mean nothing. 10 push-ups daily for 5 years mean transformation. Reading 10 pages today seems minor. 10 pages daily for years rewires your brain. The basics are small in the moment, massive in the long run. Let's hit the mindset piece. When you repeat basics, boredom will tempt you. Your brain will whisper, "This doesn't matter. You already know this. Skip it." That's the test. Winners ignore that voice. They do it anyway, because they know that moment of boredom is exactly where the average quit and the elite are built. Here's a harsher drill. Deliberately lean into monotony. Do the same workout for weeks. Read the same passages repeatedly. Journal daily on the same questions. At first, you'll crave novelty. But as you push through, you'll notice your execution sharpening. That sharpening is growth, hidden inside repetition. And let's not forget, repetition builds resilience under pressure. When stress rises, you don't want a fragile system of hacks. You want habits so drilled into you that they happen automatically. Basics repeated until reflexive. That's how you perform when chaos comes. So burn this into your identity. I master the basics. Say it until it's true, because once it is, no storm can erase your foundation. Forget shortcuts, forget hacks, forget searching for secrets. The basics are the secret, and the one who repeats them longest is the one who wins. Mental toughness isn't something you're born with. It's not a genetic gift. It's not some mysterious trait reserved for the few. It's built deliberately, daily, in the choices you make. Weakness is also built the same way, by choosing comfort, by giving excuses power, by training your mind to retreat instead of advance. Every day you're either building toughness or building fragility. There is no neutral. Most advice out there tells you to be resilient or push harder. But they stop at slogans. They don't tell you the mechanics. Mental toughness is forged the same way muscle is, through stress, recovery, and repetition. You push your limits. You recover. You push again. Step by step, your threshold rises. The same stress that used to break you now barely shakes you. Start with this. Toughness is built in discomfort. Every time you face something hard and refuse to back down, you add a brick to your mental armor. Every time you flinch, skip, or soften, you remove one. That's why avoidance weakens you. It teaches your brain that pressure is a signal to retreat, but toughness means reprogramming that signal. Pressure doesn't mean retreat. Pressure means lean in. Drill. Do one thing daily that makes you uncomfortable. It doesn't have to be extreme. Cold showers, tough conversations, extra reps, focused work past fatigue. The point isn't the activity, it's the principle. You're teaching your brain. I don't run from discomfort. I face it. Over weeks, that rewires your response. Suddenly, what used to scare you feels normal. That's toughness expanding. Another truth. Toughness requires boundaries. Weak people give in to every craving, every distraction, every impulse. Tough people say no. They set rules and enforce them. Not because it's easy, but because it trains control. Every no strengthens your grip over yourself. Every yes to temptation weakens it. Here's where most guidance misses. Toughness isn't just grit in crisis. It's discipline in the mundane. It's doing the reps nobody counts. It's sticking to standards on days that feel ordinary. Crisis moments don't build toughness. They reveal it. The real building happens in daily grind. Think of a soldier. Toughness isn't just on the battlefield. It's in the drills, the early mornings, the endless repetition of discipline when nothing exciting happens. By the time battle arrives, toughness is already forged. Your life works the same way. Another drill. Finish what you start, no matter how small. Half-finished tasks train weakness. Completed tasks train toughness. If you begin, finish. That standard, enforced daily, makes your mind ruthless against quitting. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Toughness doesn't care about feelings. You will not always feel like training, working, pushing. Weakness listens to that voice. Toughness ignores it. Every time you act despite feelings, you prove you're in control. That proof compounds until toughness becomes your default. Now let's go deeper. Mental toughness is also about recovery. You can't grind endlessly without pause, or you break. True toughness balances stress with recharge. That's not softness, it's strategy. A burned-out mind isn't tough, it's broken. Train hard, rest well, repeat. That cycle is sustainable toughness. Another layer. Toughness thrives on clarity. Weak minds scatter. Tough minds focus. Decide your priorities. Cut everything else. Every distraction you kill is toughness reinforced. Every scattered action is weakness rehearsed. Let's test it. When your alarm rings, do you get up or delay? When a task feels heavy, do you finish or procrastinate? These micro decisions decide toughness. Not the big speeches, not the big promises, daily micro actions. Practical example. Athlete wakes up early, trains, eats clean, repeats. Not glamorous. But each day adds armor. Contrast with the person who skips workouts, scrolls late, avoids hard tasks. That person is training fragility daily, over time. The gap between them is enormous, not because of talent, but because of toughness, built or lost. Most people quit because they expect toughness to feel heroic. It doesn't. It feels ordinary, boring, tiring. That's the test. Can you keep going when it feels thankless? Can you enforce standards when no one claps? That's the difference between temporary effort and real toughness. Drill. Take one area where you've been inconsistent and double down for 60 straight days. 0 exceptions. Missed days? Restart the count. This isn't about the task. It's about building proof that you can enforce a standard relentlessly. By day 60, you'll feel a new spine inside you. And remember, toughness is contagious. People around you feel it. Your steadiness under pressure influences them. Your refusal to break gives them permission to stand stronger. Weakness spreads, but so does toughness. Be the one who sets the tone. At its core, toughness is identity. Stop saying, "I want to be tougher." Start saying, "I am the kind of person who never quits." Then live it daily. Identity drives action. Action reinforces identity. The cycle locks in. Don't romanticize toughness. Don't expect it to be glamorous. Expect it to be repetition, sacrifice, discomfort, focus. Expect it to be lonely sometimes, but also expect it to pay off when life slams you and you don't break. When others crumble and you keep moving. When storms come and you walk through them steady. Because toughness isn't about looking strong. It's about being unshakable inside. And that's not gifted. That's trained. Discipline is freedom. It doesn't feel that way when you're in it. When you're saying no to comfort. When you're pushing through fatigue. When you're forcing yourself to act while others rest. But over time, discipline is the one force that frees you. Free from regret. Free from weakness. Free from the chaos that controls people who can't control themselves. Every choice you make is training either discipline or indulgence. There is no neutral. Each decision builds the mind you will carry into tomorrow. Most advice out there tells you to be disciplined as if it's a switch you can flip. But discipline is not an event. It's a muscle. You train it through repetition, through small daily decisions, until it becomes who you are. Weak people wait for motivation. Disciplined people act regardless. That's the separation. Here's the truth. Discipline doesn't start with giant sacrifices. It starts with small choices you enforce consistently. Getting up with the alarm. Finishing the task you said you'd finish. Keeping your word even when no one checks. Each of those decisions is a rep. Each rep adds weight to your discipline muscle. Skip them, and your discipline weakens. Enforce them, and your discipline strengthens. Drill. For the next week, pick 3 small commitments and execute them daily, without fail. Simple but clear. Wake up at the same time. Drink water before touching your phone. Write 1 paragraph before work. Do not break them. That enforcement builds the mental habit. I do what I say. And that habit is the seed of discipline. Now let's talk about choices under pressure. When fatigue sets in, when cravings hit, when distraction tempts you, these are not random moments. They are training sessions. Each temptation is a rep. If you give in, you train weakness. If you hold the line, you train strength. Start seeing every choice as practice. The battlefield isn't rare. It's daily. Most people fail because they compartmentalize discipline. They're strict at the gym, but sloppy with food. They're sharp at work, but lazy at home. Discipline cannot be selective. You train it in all areas, or you don't train it at all. Because your brain doesn't separate contexts, it learns patterns. If you let yourself slack in one area, that softness leaks everywhere. So, enforce standards across the board. Another drill. Set non-negotiables. These are rules you obey no matter what. Not suggestions, not preferences, laws. Maybe it's no snooze button. Maybe it's no skipped workouts. Maybe it's no lies. Ever. Write them down and hold yourself to them, with 0 exceptions. The act of enforcing laws builds discipline stronger than vague intentions ever will. Here's where most guidance misses. Discipline is not punishment. It's alignment. You're not depriving yourself. You're aligning today's actions with tomorrow's vision. Every undisciplined choice steals from your future. Every disciplined choice invests in it. That's why disciplined people feel free. They're not slaves to impulse. They're masters of themselves. Think of it like this. Undisciplined people pay twice. They enjoy comfort now, but they pay later in regret, weakness, missed potential. Disciplined people pay once. They suffer now, but they collect later in strength, freedom, achievement. Who do you want to be? Practical example. When you choose to work instead of scroll, you pay in effort, but you collect in progress. When you choose to eat clean instead of binge, you pay in restraint, but you collect in health. When you choose to speak truth instead of lies, you pay in discomfort, but you collect in respect. Every choice has a price. Discipline means paying up front. Now let's expose the enemy. Excuses. Excuses are the language of undisciplined minds. I'll do it tomorrow. It's just one time. No one will notice. Every excuse chips away at your strength. Cut them out. Replace excuses with commands. Not, I'll try. Say, I will. Not I hope. Say, I choose. Language matters because it trains your identity. Another drill. Create consequence systems. If you break a standard, impose a cost immediately. Extra workout, extra hour of work, loss of comfort. This isn't cruelty. It's accountability. You're teaching your brain that breaking discipline has a price. Over time, the cost of weakness outweighs the pull of comfort. And here's the highest level. Discipline must survive emotion. Motivation will rise and fall. Excitement will fade. Discipline stays. You don't negotiate with feelings. You enforce standards regardless. That's how you separate amateurs from professionals. Amateurs act when they feel like it. Professionals act, no matter how they feel. Imagine your life built on that principle. Every day consistent, every standard enforced, every weakness confronted. That's not rigidity, that's strength. That's freedom. Because you know exactly who you are. Someone who keeps their word. Someone who acts. Someone who cannot be swayed by moods or circumstances. Another drill. Before every decision, ask, what does disciplined me choose? Then obey that answer. It's simple, but it works, because it reminds you of the identity you're building, and every time you obey, you reinforce it. Let's be real. Discipline is not glamorous. It's early mornings, tough choices, saying no when others indulge, repetition without applause. But that's the price of freedom, and once you've paid it long enough, you stop craving shortcuts. You crave the grind itself, because you've seen what it builds. Most people stay stuck because they treat discipline as temporary. They think it's a sprint. I'll be strict for a month, then relax. Wrong. Discipline is permanent. It's not something you turn on and off. It's who you become. Once it's your identity, you don't force it. It flows. So stop waiting for easier days. Stop expecting discipline to get lighter. It doesn't. You get stronger, and that strength will carry you through storms that crush others. Train discipline in every choice. That's how you create a mind that wins in every situation. Unshakable. That's the word you've been training toward this whole time. Not just strong when conditions are right. Not just focused when things feel easy. Unshakable means steady through chaos, disciplined through temptation, relentless through fatigue. It means storms come, pressure rises, and you remain rooted. Nothing bends you, nothing breaks you. That's the level you've been building step by step, through focus, through toughness, through discipline, through repetition. Now it all comes together. Most advice out there talks about success as if it's an achievement, a single mountaintop moment. But real victory is stability. Anyone can rise once. Few can stay steady always. That steadiness, that unshakable presence, comes only from training your mind until resilience is your default. Here's the truth. Life will test you. Not once, not occasionally, but constantly. Pressure at work, conflict in relationships, setbacks in goals. If your mind is fragile, you'll crack. If it's untrained, you'll collapse. But if it's trained daily, you'll stand. Not because life got easier, but because you got harder. That's what it means to win in every situation. Not that situations are easy, but that your mind is prepared for them all. Let's clarify. Unshakable doesn't mean emotionless. You'll still feel fear, stress, anger. But those emotions won't control you. They come. You recognize them. You act with discipline anyway. That's the difference. Weak minds let emotion dictate choices. Strong minds feel emotion and move forward regardless. Drill. When stress rises, pause for 3 breaths, then act according to principle, not impulse. This rewires your brain to anchor in clarity under pressure. Practice it until it's automatic. Another truth. Becoming unshakable requires identity. You can't half believe. You can't say, I'll try to be strong. No. You decide, I am unshakable. And then, You back it up daily. Identity drives action. Action reinforces identity. The loop locks in. Think of a mountain. Storms rage, winds slam, snow falls. The mountain doesn't move. That's who you must become. Not swayed by opinions, not crumbling under setbacks, not softening because of fatigue. Unshakable. Most guidance misses this. Being unshakable isn't about never falling. It's about always rising. You will stumble. You will fail. You will face moments of weakness. But you don't stay down. You rise faster every time. Each rise builds proof. I cannot be kept down. That proof is unshakable power. Another drill. Deliberately face one fear, weekly. Public speaking, tough conversations, physical challenges. Each time, you prove to yourself that fear doesn't own you. Fear loses its grip when you face it repeatedly. Over time, you carry that proof into every arena. Here's another layer. Unshakable people aren't reckless. They're grounded. They know their values, their standards, their priorities. That clarity makes them immovable. Weak people shift with every trend, every opinion, every distraction. But when you know who you are and what you stand for, nothing external can break you. So write your code, define your values, decide your standards, live by them daily, without exception. That code becomes your anchor in storms. Without it, you drift. With it, you stand. Practical example. Imagine losing your job. Fragile minds panic. Unshakable minds adapt. They say, my discipline, my habits, my focus remain. I will rebuild. Imagine betrayal. Fragile minds collapse. Unshakable minds say, pain won't define me. I will stand. That's the difference, not in circumstance, but in mindset. And don't forget, unshakable doesn't mean isolated. It means strong enough to carry others. People will lean on you. Your steadiness will stabilize them. That's leadership, not words, but presence. Your discipline under pressure becomes proof for them that they can rise too. Final drill. Build a mantra. Short, sharp, repeated daily. I don't break. I rise no matter what. I am unshakable. Say it, live it, prove it. Over time, your mind believes it, and belief fuels action. So this is where all your training converges. From owning your mornings, guarding your focus, leaning into discomfort, finishing what you start, holding calm under fire, building habits, enforcing integrity, repeating basics, sharpening toughness, training discipline. Every step has been stacking bricks. Now you see the structure, a fortress mind, a mind that doesn't crack, a mind trained to win, no matter what life throws. Becoming unshakable isn't about perfection. It's about preparation. It's about standards. It's about discipline so deep, nothing external can shake it. That's who you are now, and that's why you win. Always. When you've spent this much time drilling your mind, it's tempting to end with more fire, more intensity, more commands. But here, at the finish, the pace changes. You've earned a slower rhythm, a chance to breathe, to look back at how far you've come. Think about it. You've just walked through 13 steps of mental training. At the start, you were challenged to see that your mindset controls every situation. Then you stripped away excuses, shaped your habits, leaned into discomfort, guarded your focus, and built discipline choice by choice. Each section added another layer of armor. What felt abstract in the beginning is now part of your identity. The truth is this: you don't need to remember every single sentence. You don't need to hold the entire script in your head. What matters is that you absorbed the rhythm, discipline, repetition, identity. Those three words are the thread tying everything together. If you live them daily, your mind will stay unshakable. From here, you don't graduate, you continue. This isn't the end of training, it's the beginning of lifelong practice. Every morning, you wake with a decision, weakness or strength, drift or discipline, fragile or unshakable. And because of what you've built here, you already know the answer. So let this audiobook fade. Let the words quiet down, but keep the fire alive in your choices. You're not someone waiting for the right circumstances anymore. You are someone ready for any circumstance. Your training is not theory, it's practice. Daily, deliberate, endless practice. Carry that forward. Repeat the basics. Protect your focus. Hold your word. And when the storm comes, and it will, you'll stand tall. Because you've become exactly what you set out to be.